What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of At a Glance, a series in which I give you an appetizer, sample, or glimpse into a particular faction in 40k. And the goal behind it is to help you decide if you want to look further into the Force on your own, or maybe you start collecting that Force as well. So up on the chopping block this time, by viewer request, is the Steel Confessors Space Marine chapter, a loyalist Space Marine chapter of Iron Hand's Gene Seed that is closely associated with the Mechanicum. And it's even thought that perhaps the Mechanicum secretly founded this chapter for whatever reason or purpose, which would be quite a taboo thing to do. So, what's interesting is I thought I did these guys already because I remember looking into these guys in the past couple of years. So I thought I did them already, but apparently I can't find any videos on my channel about them, so I guess not. So, color scheme wise, Steel Confessors have a very metallic color scheme. You could get away with doing it in like a grayish color without going metallic, but I think might as well go metallic as their name is Steel Confessors. So pretty much their armor is a silvery steel color, with their knee pads and shoulder pad insets being bone, and then their shoulder pad trim being a green, a deep green. The chest emblem could be done in the silvery steel color of the rest of the armor, or you could do it in gold or what have you. Their helmet lenses are red. Their weapons tend to be like a gray or a metallic or a black, whatever. You can just do whatever that way. And their squad markings are in black, which is easy enough to get accomplished. Their chapter symbol is a cross symbol that I think you call a crossette, with some red in the center of it with a white lightning bolt at the dead center. It's a symbol that you're very much gonna want to figure out how to do without freehanding it, in my opinion, because of the triple colors going on there. And you could just print out a fan-made decal sheet for them. I think one does exist, and all you would have to do is paint at the center where you're gonna have it. Paint on the shoulder pad some white. Put the symbol over it so the red will be bright on the white, and the white lightning bolt will look white, because if you print in clear decal paper, most printers can't print white, so it'll be clear for the white part. That's why you put the white paint down on the shoulder pad first, and then you carefully go back in with bone to clean up the areas around it. So that would be your best bet, is printing out on decal paper yourself this symbol. So with that said, that's their color scheme. A pretty cool and effective color scheme, with a symbol that's going to be your most annoying part, if you will. So with that said, what are we looking at here? Well, we're looking at a Space Marine chapter that is associated with the Mechanicum. They're very close with the Mechanicum. Their homeworld had a vast manufactorum, and they were honor bound to defend it. What's interesting is, the fact that there is potential that the Mechanicum did some polling, did some manipulating to get a chapter founded specifically, utilizing Iron Hand's Gene Seed and whatnot. And it makes sense to use the Iron Hands, given what is known about the Iron Hands chapter. And the mentality of the Steel Confessors is pretty close. Their battle cry is destroy the weak. So they have a very cold, calculating view on things. The way they do combat and the way they destroy the weak is very much in line with the Iron Hands. So what you can expect to see is bionics and tech marines and stuff like that running around with the Steel Confessors army for sure. Now, before we go into the Steel Confessors themselves, given their close relationship with the Mechanicum, if there was ever a force you wanted to ally with, or if there was ever a Space Marine force you wanted to take as allies to your Mechanicum force, whether it's Space Marines with Mechanicum allies or Mechanicum with Space Marine allies, the Steel Confessors are a good choice. Iron Hands are a good choice. There are some other chapters as well that are good choices, and a little or a lesser known one nowadays would be the Steel Confessors. So if you want to do something like that, it could really work out for you. So we don't have too much known about the Steel Confessors, to be honest. What we do know is that they defended their homeworld from a hive fleet which landed upon their planet. They were forced to do battle with them. They had to defend that manufactorum. They basically had no choice, you could say. So more than just being fluff, this was actually played out at a Games Day and Golden Demon event in England in 2005. You had a mega battle that featured the Steel Confessors versus Tyranids. Now, I can't find any articles really anymore, easily, or at least from what I've been looking at, I can't find any articles about the Steel Confessors mega battle at this Golden Demon event anymore. But from what I remember reading in the past, is that I think that you basically had the Steel Confessors chapter represented on the battlefield on this mega battle, and you had Tyranids fighting them. And the result of this mega battle determined the fluff, you could say, of this Steel Confessors chapter. So if they lost and were wiped out, then they would have been a chapter wiped out. As it turns out, they survived. They won. And at the end of the battle, their 8th and 10th companies were wiped out. Their first company was at 40% strength. 3rd and 6th companies were at 60% strength. And the rest of the companies, the rest of the chapter, were anywhere between 20 and 40% strength per company and all that. So pretty heavy casualties, but they won and obviously would be able to rebuild. So that's a cool concept. I like that they basically say, you know what, here's an established chapter. Let's go ahead and see what happens. If they win, then they survive. If they lose, wiped out, then no more chapter in terms of the fluff. So that's kind of cool in my opinion. I think that's something that's you're not going to see too often. I don't think we've seen it since, but pretty cool concept there. So from that, we can determine a bit of their fighting style, where tactical Marines and Devastators would take up firing positions to deliver calculated, cold, disciplined volleys of firepower to blunt the enemy forces. And then with veteran squads or assault squads, and in this case Vanguard veteran squads, and I guess assault Terminators and the like, launching surgical attacks and being used as counterattackers when things got too close, with land speeders flying around, or at least zipping around the battlefield to lend their weight of firepower to wherever the battle line was in danger. So it's a very blended machine-like, you could say, fighting style, where everything is a cog that has a purpose and works together to be a very efficient fight. So with that being said, it also means that this chapter is pretty open-ended to fighting style. If you're more assault-oriented, you can still do this with having it be a heavily assault army. If you're more shooting-oriented, you can do this having it being more of a ranged combat army. So, interesting kind of combat style there. Again, I think this is basically derived from how the battle went at the mega battle. So, with that said, an interesting chapter that has really close ties to Mechanicum, so close that, like I mentioned, that it's thought that perhaps the Mechanicum founded this chapter in secrecy. So, with that said, what does it mean to collect them? Well, in terms of collecting them, the Space Marine Codex, without a doubt, no question, will be the codex to use for the Steel Confessors. Whether or not you're going to play pure Steel Confessors, or whether or not you're thinking about using them allied alongside Mechanicum or whatnot, the regular Space Marine Codex is the way to go. And if you want to get really into that whole Iron Handsy type of feel, being that they are successors of that, Clan Relcan, that supplement book would be the way to go. I believe it's usable still, so that is something you would want to look into alongside your Space Marine Codex. So pretty straightforward there for doing that. And within that codex, maybe taking firepower and heavy armor. With their close ties in the Mechanicum, they do have access to heavy firepower and heavy armor a bit more so than perhaps other chapters. So you could do that as well if you wanted to. The Iron Hands chapter tactic would be the one to use in this case. I don't think there would be any question as to what chapter tactic to use, especially if you're going to use Clan Relcan. You need the Iron Hands chapter tactic, I believe. So, pretty cool stuff. So, with that said, when it comes to collecting them miniature-wise, there's nothing specifically Steel Confessor. I think that much is clear. But any of the generic bits and kits from Forge World and GW for Space Marines will work just fine. Even Iron Hands bits can work great. the bionic bits and so forth for the helmets, or for the heads, the torsos, the arms, the legs, Forge Rules, Iron Hand stuff, even from the Heresy period and whatnot, could work out pretty well here. They're not particularly tied to the Iron Hands chapter itself, so it wouldn't make sense to have any Iron Hands iconography on them. But any type of cog symbol or whatnot, I would say kind of stands to reason that they might have something like that amongst their chapter, given what their chapter is like. So that can open up your doors a little bit for bits and whatnot. Other than that, pretty straightforward in terms of collecting them. Any Space Marine bits and kits from Forge Drill and GW. They all fit together very nicely, so you're going to be able to really custom make some cool looking stuff. With that said, that's basically it for the Steel Confessors. We don't have too much known about them. I would like to have more done with them. I think it would be a cool chapter for GW to revisit. I mean, in 2005, they had the mega battle at that Games Day. We had the chapter still existing. What's interesting is that the Games Day, they had a full-size tactical marine of the Steel Confessors present at the mega battle, like a statue, so that's kind of cool. So I think it'd be really cool if GW went ahead and revisited this chapter, or had Forge World do it in an Imperial Armor book or something. That would be kind of cool. But anyways, get another kind of tech-based chapter. Iron Handsy, very much to its core. That's its genius key. That's who their successors of, and their mentality is destroy the weak. So it kind of fits in with the Iron Hands mentality a bit as well. But that's it for the Steel Confessors. I like them. I think they're pretty cool. I think if you're looking for a chapter that doesn't specifically state it's bionic heavy, and I say that because I know earlier I mentioned you can make use of those bits, and you definitely could. But if you're looking to be a chapter that maybe doesn't have bionic bits everywhere, maybe few and far between because maybe you don't like the visuals of it or what have you, there's nothing specifically linking the Steel Confessors to being all machine men. I mean, you can do that if you wanted to, but you could also equally not do that. So I think it has some appeal there if you're looking for a chapter kind of like the Iron Hands, but with less bionicness, if that makes any sense. Anyways, that's really it for the Steel Confessors, so thanks for sticking through it. I think they're a pretty cool chapter. Hopefully it wasn't too boring. If you have any questions, comments, or requests, leave them in the comments section. And until next time, take it easy.